Please. Dana, would you like to ask me questions and then let me answer them, or would you like to debate me on these topics? I noticed that when you had Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, you gave them multiple choice answers to the questions that you asked, and you allowed them to answer the questions. I'm happy to be here to talk about policy, but if you're going to interrupt me every single time that I open my mouth, then why am I even doing this? So please ask a question, and I'd ask you to be polite enough to let me answer it.
Yes.
Dana, would you like to ask?
Welcome to the new party. I'm Nora Christine.
I'm Gray Mars.
And I'm D White.
Today on the new party, we're going to be discussing JD Vance's Sunday morning interviews that went viral. As you can see in that first clip, JD Vance and Data Bash had it out, but JD was not backing down. He definitely put her in her place. D, what's your thoughts on how the media has been this election cycle towards the Republican side and what he said to her?
Once again, their bias is showing, like always. I mean, anybody with eyes can clearly see what's going on. They're hostile combatants. Anytime Trump shows up, anytime JD shows up, any Republican, they have all the pushback. They don't want to interview; they want to debate. Everything. But it's not the same way with the other side. I just wish they'll do their job and be actual media and give us the news and stop just giving us all their biased opinions. What about you, Gray?
I feel like JD Vance needs like more training for going on a hostile network. I feel like it's his role to go like places like CNN and MSNBC, and Trump to not have to go over there. So he should be more so the one that's just like not reacting emotionally and just going with the motions to try and get voters that wouldn't normally vote for a Republican on those channels. And I just don't think he was doing a good job. He probably actually shooed away voters that were actually going to go to the Republican side. What about you, Nora?
I mean, I don't agree. I think he has to be firm and he has to be confident, but he also has to hold the media accountable to be honest and truthful. The media now, to me, is not honest and truthful, unfortunately. So he has to stand his ground. I have another clip where it shows him, the extended clip of what him and Dana Bash were discussing. I'm going to play it now.
First of all, let me just respond to a couple of things that you said, but I want to start with something you said, which I think is frankly disgusting and is more appropriate for a Democratic propagandist than it is for an American journalist. There is nothing that I have said that has led to threats against these hospitals. These hospitals, the bomb threats and so forth, it's disgusting. The violence is disgusting. We condemn it. We condemn all violence.
Senator, this happened after you and President Trump were on the debate stage, said that cats and dogs were being eaten.
You asked a question, Dana, and I'm going to go ahead and answer it. What we have said is that this town has suffered terribly under the policies of Kamala Harris. Now, you just accused me of inciting violence against the community when all that I've done is surface the complaints of my constituents, people who are suffering because of Kamala Harris's policies. Are we not allowed to talk about these problems because some psychopaths? Dana, first of all, let me just respond to a couple of things that you said, but I want to start with something you said, which I think is frankly disgusting and is more appropriate for a Democratic propagandist than it is for an American journalist. There is nothing that I have said that has led to threats against these hospitals. These hospitals, the bomb threats and so forth, it's disgusting. The violence is disgusting. We condemn it. We condemn all violence.
Senator, this happened after you and President Trump were on the debate stage, said that cats and dogs were being eaten.
You asked a question,
and
Dana, and
after
I'm going to
that,
go ahead and answer it.
What
we have said is that this town has suffered terribly under the policies of Kamala Harris. Now, you just accused me of inciting violence against the community when all that I've done is surface the complaints of my constituents, people who are suffering because of Kamala Harris's policies.
So yeah, that was part of the first video that I played, but I wanted to play the extended version. And I also want to alert everyone to something that I don't think the media is telling us, because I saw this on X and I think it's fake news, it's false. let's look at what the Ohio governor said. Ohio governor contradicts Democrat narrative with damning revelation about bomb threat hoaxes in Springfield. Governor Mike DeWine revealed the bomb threat hoaxes are coming from overseas. So pretty much they're trying to say that due to JD Vance's talking point, I mean Donald Trump and JD Vance's talking points, that these bomb threats are coming in, but they're not. They're coming from overseas. We have people, unfortunately, overseas who are making these actions. I mean, again, this goes back to what I said yesterday about the military industrial complex. I mean, pretty much for whatever reason, some entity wants to start conflict with people overseas, in particular, Iran. Iran is the name that I keep hearing everyone bring up. Dee, what do you think about that? And what do you think the truth is in all of this?
Yep. Well, unfortunately, by their same logic, that means all the assassination attempts that happened against President Donald Trump should be the fault of the left wing media. You know, they've been spewing all this hate over and over, but yet they take no blame in that. You know, but because some crazies from God knows where made some threats against the schools and the hospitals, they're trying to place the blame solely on JD and Trump for stating we're not going to call them facts because we don't have the proof, but stating substantiated claims made by his constituents. I think it's crazy. I think it's definitely two sided. Um, I mean, they could just do no wrong. Nothing that they ever do is wrong. I'm glad JD put her in her place. I think he did a great job at that. And unlike Gray thinks that he turned off voters. I think he's actually opening up the eyes of a lot of voters because if someone is keep being biased to you and you just put it back in their face and let the world see, you let the world make their own decisions. And I think that people are starting to wake up and realize that, hey man, these guys maybe even if I didn't like them before, they're not getting a fair shake at this thing. What do you think, Ray?
What Nora said that is because overseas. I think that it is because of what Trump
I
and
didn't say
JD
that.
Vance
The
said.
governor said that.
But what I'm saying is that it is because of what they said. It is because of what Trump says that these actions happen. And to Dee's point, I would say, like, to me as a Democrat, and I'm kind of in the middle, like, JD Vance, I think, may have turned off more people because it's just like, okay, if he would have went there and said the border is going on or whatever else is going on, like, that actually, like, is dealing with my everyday life, I might have said, okay, let me give the Republicans a second look. But to just go on there and talk about uh, Haitians eating cats,
That's what she
I
wanted to
don't.
talk about. She wanted to talk about that.
I get it, but so
Yeah.
he's put in a predicament because now he has to talk about that because that's what they want to talk about. But a person I think is a good example is Pete Buttigieg, who the Democrats send on Fox News all the time, and he goes over there and he's not really combative. He talks and then he explains his points. I think he does a way better job going on opponent's network, like where things are going to be more negative towards him than like JD Vance is doing on CNN.
You
Go
have a
ahead, Nora.
fan
So
in the
you want
room,
to say
Gray.
something? Huh?
My mother's in the room. You have a fan. She's agreeing with you that Buttigieg would have made a good president. Anyways, oh, I'm sorry. Who were you saying? Go ahead to me.
Yeah, I was saying
Yeah.
him going on Fox News, he does a better job, like going on there and talking with mostly Republican people.
Yeah,
Because
but that's because the Republicans don't try to play gotcha journalism. They let you actually
Oh,
come on and
you
speak.
see that? Gray's BS cut him off.
Yeah. the the
yeah.
internet gods knew.
So yeah, I heard these say that they try to play gotcha stuff. I feel like the Republicans give the left wing media so much fodder that they can just go at them with like, oh, all these crazy conspiracies that's being said. We can make you have to answer for this. Like it's some stuff like the gender stuff and the LGBTQ plus stuff that you can attack them with, but it's just media is biased. I don't think we can control that.
I agree with
Let's
that.
play a clip.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Uh, let's play a clip on reminding everyone what Springfield, Illinois, Ohio is. I believe I read somewhere that I believe that's the area that JD Vance is from. So let's remind everyone what Springfield, Ohio is and what we're referring to.
Small town in Ohio, home to roughly 60,000 working class Americans, until 20,000 plus Haitian immigrants flooded into town with rumors of them eating the neighbors' cats and local geese.
What did you do? Why'd you kill the cat? Did you eat that cat? Did you eat it? No, why'd you kill it?
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets.
And causing car accidents left and right, and driving locals out of their homes by paying above-market rental prices with welfare subsidized by the American taxpayer. Are these Haitians eating cats? How did they travel 2,000 plus miles from Haiti all the way to Ohio? And do the locals and their new Haitian neighbors get along? I pulled up to Springfield myself to see if this was real or overblown fake news. A lot of this is alleged because I truly don't know what's going on, and neither does Twitter. Twitter is relying off of a few images and a few Reddit threads, and there are rumors.
So yeah, I just really wanted to, touch on what Springfield, Ohio is. This has been the center of our talking points for the past week and a half since the debate. I want to remind everyone that the Haitians, although there are some people that don't want them there, they are victims in this as well. They are migrants, and they are essentially legally here, whether we like it or not, due to amnesty. And they didn't just pick to go there. They were shipped there. But who shipped them there? The Democrats shipped them there. I mean, that's truly what happened. Also, the Democrats have allowed, what's the name of that border bill D that they didn't extend?
The Remain in Mexico?
Yeah, the Remain in Mexico law. Joe Biden did not extend that. That was a great law that Trump had. All he had to do was extend it, and he ended it. So it was a free-for-all at the border. If we all remember, there were images of Haitian migrants and the police or the National Guards on horseback. That image sticks with me from 2020, 2021, if y'all remember that. So, I mean, that is what it all stems from. Gray, I know I said a whole lot. I know you want to respond. What do you think?
Yeah, the image you're talking about is when the cop was on the horse whipping the Haitian migrants trying to come across the border. As far as Joe Biden, Trump was being sued because it was a family separation at the border. So that was the government was already being sued. So they had to go back. If you go back and remember, Joe Biden actually kept building the wall, and people were like, why is he still building the wall? He was saying because Trump had already allocated funds for this. So I know we try to blame each party for stuff, but sometimes it's stuff still ongoing. Like if right now we were to sue the federal government, if Trump wins next, Trump still has to deal with that, us suing the federal government. So some stuff I say is each party. Some stuff I say is both of their faults.
What's your response?
Yeah, I do agree with you. The fact that the Haitians are, they're somewhat of a victim. That they're being used as a pawn. They had absolutely no control of where they were shipped at. They just want. I do sympathize with immigrants who actually come over here who want a better life. Haiti is in ruins right now. I wouldn't.
Right.
I'd be terrified to visit there, let alone live there permanently.
Right.
So I understand why they want to escape that situation and come to America. Land of the free, home of the brave. To get a much better shot at a normal life. But it's very unfortunate that they sent them to such a small town with a tiny population where they don't have the resource to support 20,000 people. And then they say that the immigrants. I watched before this call. I watched 2 interviews done on YouTube by people who got in their cars and they drove to Springfield and they did a bunch of man on the street interviews. And one lady who works at the grocery store, she's a cashier, and once they use the EBT card, you can see the balance, the remaining balance, and the cash assistance balance and all that stuff. She say that she's seen people with $26,000 in cash assistance money, and it was more people complaining about.
There's receipts with thousands, Donnie, and we're not just going by word of mouth. I've seen the receipts. They're not lie. They're getting thousands. I can't even get food stamps.
Yeah,
You
so I
can't
mean,
get food stamps.
it's very unfair that you want the regular American citizen who's already paying taxes and already scraping by to try to compete with somebody who gets a free housing voucher, or who gets unlimited food stamps, and who gets a
Right.
ridiculous amount of cash. I mean, you think inflation's already bad? That only makes it worse. I mean, they're complaining about there's no housing there. They can't buy cars because all the used cars are being bought up. And it's just a terrible situation, and I feel like Kamala and Joe should be held responsible for this.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so funny. She's like, when I'm in office, I'm going to do all these great things. You're in office now. What are you doing now? Or when we watched that rally that AOC did. She's like, we're going to take this country back. You guys
Yeah.
are in control now. What are you doing now? I mean, and I think this is the disillusionment of the Democratic Party at this point. People are tired of it because honestly, I don't care who you are affected some way with what's going on with the policies by the Democrats right now. We were affected by COVID under Trump, but Trump didn't cause COVID. COVID
Correct.
happened to the whole world.
The
And that's
whole
what I
world.
think he lost on, unfortunately. Gray,
Yeah, but
I'm sure you have a lot to say.
First, I haven't seen like these migrants with all this money. I did hear about Mayor Adams talking about giving them some money, and I feel like the reason that this happens is because America basically runs the world. So I feel like feel like we got to take in a certain amount of people from each place because we're basically destroying their country by taking all the resources out. Because if you think about it, the iPhones is made in China and the hardware
True.
comes from Africa. So in a way, we're taking these people resources and then draining them, and then they want to come here because there's no opportunities in their countries. So that's the cost of doing business, I guess.
there's over 190 countries in the world. Why is America the only one providing welfare for the whole planet? That's a terrible excuse.
Do you guys see that receipt? Can you see it?
left there.
No,
Do
I
you
can't
see
see it.
the
Blow
ballot
it
that
up, blow
says?
it up.
I don't know how to. How
Just
do I
click the
zoom?
arrows at the bottom. Yeah, click that. Now
Do
do
you
it.
see it now?
Yes.
Do you see the ballots?
I can't see the balance. What is it?
EBCFS, meaning food ballots, $13,401.82. EBT cash balance, 4,400. Let's round it up, 4,500. So, Greg, you can't keep saying you've never seen it. It's right here. I can show you more examples too.
You don't know where that receipt come from. Listen, it's an old trick we used to do in the hood. You go to Amscott, you get the receipt somebody left. You go get with a girl, and you accidentally drop the receipt, and it looks like you got $20,000 in your bank account. So we don't know where that receipt is from. We don't know if it was made. We don't know specifically if it's a
That's how
person
you would get girls.
that. It's just an old trick. People have done that before. So
See, have you ever done that to a girl before?
I never thought about it, but it's brilliant. I wish I would have.
I'm telling you, that's something people do. And then
Everybody, Gray's not believing this, but I really don't have time to find the facts. I'm going to find the facts and show Gray because I mean it's all over the internet.
because here's the thing, I've got food stamps before, right? So you get food stamps based on how many people you are is dependent on you and who's the head of household and stuff like that. So to get that amount of money, you have to have so many dependents on one EBT card. Like I mean, like that's insane. Like even with the
No,
hurricane, when they give you
that's you
emergency funds.
assuming. That's you assuming that they follow the same rules that we follow. Remember that.
So y'all say the government just like, hey, we better give you 20,000 EBT. Go. Okay.
That's what it looks like to me currently.
I
Absolutely.
I haven't heard it, but I mean, if this is happening, somebody needs to investigate because I need my EBT card.
Well, you're not a Houston migrant, so I have one last clip that I'm gonna play. And this was JD Vance on Face the Nation. It wasn't quite as contentious as Dana Bash, but he definitely held his own, and I have to say I'm proud of him.
What Kamala Harris wants to do to every town in this country. Overwhelm them with migration, stress their municipal budgets, see communicable diseases on the rise. What is happening in Springfield is coming to every town and city in this country if Kamala Harris's open border policies are allowed to continue. We have got to stop this. American citizens are suffering because of what she's done. And
it's cheaper to manufacture overseas, which is why so many companies do it. But that's another issue. Just to follow up on the promise you're making to working class voters. You are now saying no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on income from Social Security. All of that would wipe out a big chunk of the tax base. Do you really think that fiscally conservative Republicans in Congress are going to vote for this?
Well, I think obviously Republicans believe American workers should keep more of their own money. And yes, I think that if we actually balance this out by penalizing some of these companies for manufacturing over to make things in the United States of America. Now, you're exactly right. Sometimes it is a little bit cheaper to manufacture overseas, but we have to ask why that is. It's because a lot of these foreign countries use literal slave labor in manufacturing. We should not be allowing slave laborers to benefit from American markets. If you want access to our market, you've got to pay our workers fair wages. That is the Trump agenda, and it's something he already implemented once, by the way, Margaret, but is going to double down on in his second term. Dana,
So yeah, I mean, pretty much. He said some good policy that they're recommending. I'm sure Kamala Harris is going to steal it by next week. They're not just recommending no tax on tips; they're taking it a step further, and they're saying no tax on overtime. I mean, Dee, what do you think about those policies? Do you think that they'll be good for the American people, and do you think it'll give Trump the edge he needs?
The reason that the Democrats don't want to talk about policies is because we kick their butt time and time again when it comes to policies. Those are great policies, and JD brought up a bunch of very, very important things. The reason that people ship jobs overseas is because the raw materials are a lot cheaper that way, and significantly lower. You can't compete. It's not even apples to oranges. It's apples to apple seeds over there. You know what I'm saying? It's such a big difference. They pay their people nothing. So how could a American company who makes products in America compete with someone like that? You literally can't, because the budget for labor is going to most likely be the highest. That he actually does implement a lot of these things, because I think that we really do need to make stuff in America again. That's the problem. We shipped all of our jobs overseas, and that's what's killing America. And once we start making things here again, I believe we'll be a lot better off as a country.
I think JD Vance did a better job that time. Do I think that people believed him when they're saying they're going to actually cut taxes for poor people? No, because Republicans are known for cutting taxes for the rich. But I also feel like when we talk about the manufacturing stuff here, like a lot of those countries have a lot of like smog and a lot of pollution. So I don't think America would be like, okay, we're going to create things here that's going to cause like more pollution. But I do believe that JD Vance on that segment, the things that he said and things that Trump is saying, is turning off Republicans and moderate Republicans who care about the debt in the United States. The debt would triple if they did something like that. What about you?
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question before Nora responds. Okay, yeah. Do you believe that the industries in America operate more efficiently and more cleaner than the
You went out, but I think that with some stuff it works better. But I think now in today's world, it's more like tech. It's more like coding and computer and stuff.
No, that's not the question. That's not the question I'm asking you. Do you believe that if we made this random item, if you make tires in America and tires in China, which factory do you think would be cleaner and more green?
Us.
Of course, and you are correct. We would, in all the industries, America has the most stringent rules when it comes to the environment. So if you guys care so much about the climate, if we brought a lot of those jobs back to America and we ran them under the same standardization that America uses, we therefore cut the carbon footprint of the world. Because now instead of letting these big polluters do it and who make it cheap, they cut corners. They don't use the same safety standards we use. They don't use they pump all the evil gases and all the bad stuff into the river. We would bring those jobs here to America, and we would do them more efficiently and more cleaner. We might not be able to beat their price, but it'll be better for the planet since you guys care so much about the environment, right?
Yeah, but here where people asking for $15 minimum wage, the price of those tires would go from $50 to $500 just based on the labor. So they're not. They need slave labor because America has too much consumption, too much material stuff. So yeah, we go to these other countries and we say, here, we go pay you $2 to make 100 phones. And then that's basically how we have so much of a high profit margin. So
why do we pretend that we care about the environment? Why do you guys pretend that you care so much about the environment then?
Well, we care about the environment because climate change is very real. And if we want our generations from now to actually have a planet to live on, we have to cut the carbon down because the ozone layer will be completely destroyed and the rays from the sun will burn up the planet. And I think that
correct. But to save a couple dollars, you say, forget all that. We'll just buy them from over there.
Well, here's the thing. If we say because we're a capitalistic country, right? So you got
Correct.
these companies. So we can't go out and say, hey, y'all have to do this. That's like not the American way. They're going to do what they feel like helps run the company the best. JD Vance said right there, okay, we're going to tax people for trying to basically send jobs overseas. But Trump is saying tariffs and drill, when tariffs actually goes on the consumer and makes the consumer pay more. I don't think that if you tax people and say, okay, you make pencils, so we're going to tax you because you're making pencils over there. I don't know if that's an effective strategy. It would just be better just to say, hey, we go tax rich people more from their own personal pockets than the actual worker in the company, if that makes sense.
Okay, I don't want to hold you up too long.
That was a great discussion, guys. I mean, and a great way to close. I mean, in summation, JD Vance and Trump recognize that there needs to be some economic relief to the taxpayers, and they're recommending that through not taxing on overtime and tips, which will affect most workers and service workers at that. And the Democrats are giving you climate change and maybe $15 an hour overtime. Maybe. So, I mean, my closing words is this. We have a live stream tonight. We're going to be talking about the Diddy charges. Also, what does it mean to be Black excellent and how is it going to affect the upcoming election? Gray, what's your closing words?
We're going to put in the link in the description how to vote. If you haven't registered to vote yet, I think North Carolina just started voting. Like, comment, share, subscribe. What about you, D?
Always vote.
Always vote.
Yes, and today's National Voting Day, so always vote.
Oh, yeah.